Let's jump right in. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something pretty fascinating.
That's good.
We're looking at Andhra Pradesh's new IT policy. And we've got some excerpts from a report
Right.
that breaks down all the details. And this report's actually calling this policy a potential game changer.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to see if it lives up to the hype or, if it's all just,
Right.
talk.
Right.
So let's get started. So this new policy, it's got a pretty ambitious goal, right?
Yeah, it does.
It's aiming to make Andhra Pradesh into like a major global tech hub, not just like a little hub in India. They're aiming high.
Yeah, they really are. And what's really interesting to me is it goes beyond like a typical IT policy. It's not just saying, oh, we're going to have some tax breaks, come set up shop. It's really trying to create an entire ecosystem for innovation and growth.
Like what kinds of things are they talking about?
Well, they're really laser focused on these emerging technology, the things that are going to shape the future. Things like AI, blockchain, the Internet of Things, cloud computing. They want to be at the forefront of all of that.
Wow, so all that cutting edge stuff, huh?
Right.
Yeah. Like instead of going after the big established companies, they're going after the next generation.
Yeah, exactly. And they're putting some serious muscle behind it, too. We're talking some pretty enticing incentives.
Like what?
Well, the report highlights tax breaks. We're talking potentially huge reductions in costs for companies, subsidies to encourage all the, the research and development, and even funding for infrastructure,
Oh, wow.
like high-speed internet, things like that.
That sounds pretty good. I mean, for a startup, that sounds pretty tempting,
Yeah,
especially if you're working with all that new technology. And that's expensive, right, to be on the cutting edge.
absolutely.
But, other states in India have tried to do things like this.
Sure.
What makes Andhra Pradesh think that they can really make it work?
Well, it's not just about throwing money at the problem. You can offer all the incentives in the world, but if you don't have the talent to back it up, it's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
And that's where this policy gets really smart. They're emphasizing creating a skilled workforce,
Okay.
which is crucial. For long-term success, you can't just import talent, you have to build it.
That makes sense. So how are they doing that?
Well, they're not just doing those like generic training programs,
Right.
They're actually partnering with universities and institutions to develop curriculums that are specifically tailored to these emerging technologies.
Oh, wow.
So think like specialized degrees in AI ethics or blockchain development. They're really trying to get ahead of the curve and create this pipeline of skilled workers.
So they're building it from the ground up.
Yeah.
I like that.
Definitely.
That's cool. In the report, I noticed there was an expert quoted who called this policy forward-thinking. So what would you say is so forward-thinking about it?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to the details. They're not just building more IT parks, which a lot of places do, right?
Right.
They're actually designing them as smart cities with sustainable infrastructure, integrated living spaces. They want to create an environment that's attractive not just to companies, but to the people who power those companies
Oh,
by offering, a good quality of life. It's about attracting the best and the brightest by making Andhra Pradesh a place where they actually want to live and work.
so they're building like a whole world.
Yeah, exactly. It's like creating an ecosystem, not just a business district.
That's really cool. Okay, but let's be realistic. Can Andhra Pradesh really compete with those established tech hubs in India?
Yeah.
Like Bangalore, Hyderabad. I mean, those places are already like huge in the tech world.
Yeah, those are big shoes to fill. But I think they have some key advantages. For one thing, the cost of living and the cost of doing business in Andhra Pradesh, it's significantly lower than in those bigger hubs.
Right.
And that can be a huge draw for startups, especially those that are just getting off the ground.
And probably for companies that are maybe looking to expand but don't want to pay those huge costs.
Exactly. And then another thing they've got going for them is this young and eager workforce.
Yeah.
Folks who are really hungry for opportunity. They're ready to dive in and learn these new skills. So I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah. So they're making a case. But what does all this mean for somebody listening right now? Let's say you're not in tech. You're listening to this.
Sure.
How could this policy impact your field? Like, why should they care?
Well, that's where I think the ripple effect comes in.
Yeah.
As this tech ecosystem grows in Andhra Pradesh, it's going to create demand in all these supporting industries.
Okay.
We're talking finance, marketing, logistics, even education. So even if you're not a software developer or a data scientist, you might see new opportunities popping up in your field as a result of this growth. and maybe even in fields that we haven't even thought of yet.
So it's like dropping a stone in a pond,
Huh.
and the ripples just keep spreading out.
Exactly, exactly.
So Andhra Pradesh, they're going all in on tech. Big plans, big goals. It'll be really interesting to see how this all unfolds.
Yeah, it's a bold move for sure. But, if they're successful, this could really reshape the whole Indian tech industry. It could even have global implications. Think
Hmm.
about it. This whole new wave of innovation, all driven by this generation of tech talent that's being fostered right there in Andhra Pradesh. It's a story that's definitely worth following.
Yeah, it really is. It kind of makes you realize how much the tech world is constantly changing,
Oh, absolutely.
and that you never know where the next big thing is going to come from. So if you want to take a closer look at this new policy, we've got a link to the full report in the show notes, so go check that out. And thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you then.
Stay curious.